Well, greetings and salutations, everyone. I hope everyone is still doing well. Let's end this day with a very interesting and a very thought-provoking upload. Before we jump into it, a couple links. As you know, I rely on Patreon, PayPal, and the merch to help the channel to continue to grow and go. Links to Patreon and PayPal are in the description below. Merch displayed directly under the video. Also, Dogman Frightening Encounters, Volume 1 through 3, the audiobook versions. They were written and researched by Tom Lyons, narrated and produced by me, Jeff Nadolny. Those audiobooks are available on Audible, Amazon, and iTunes, the links to which are also in the description as well. And finally, last but definitely not least, if you'd really like to help support this channel to continue to grow and go, simply subscribe. It doesn't cost you a cent. Click that like button. It takes half a second. If you don't want to miss out on any of the informative and exciting uploads I put out daily, click that bell icon and please leave a comment. Why? Well, because all these things, they really do help this channel to continue to grow and go. And folks, they definitely matter. Now, everyone, I have taken far too much of your time. Let's get on with tonight's bonus ending upload. Shall we? What is an inorganic being? When we speak about the entities such as ghosts or poltergeists, what kind of creatures are these, really? Even when we speak about creatures that we consider to be quite flesh and blood, like Bigfoot or Loch Ness Monster or Dogman, could we sometimes be misidentifying what we see? When I talk about inorganic beings, please do not believe that I'm negating the existence of flesh and blood creatures like Bigfoot or Dogman, or the existence of life beyond the grave like ghosts. What I'm doing is presenting a seldom researched type of life form that exists on the planet Earth. This is a sentient awareness without biological corporealness. Sentience and awareness that is a possibility of focused attention and is encased in an energetic structure that is not biological. Some practitioners of the occult realized long ago that we share the earth with a type of life that modern science believes to be completely impossible. These inorganic beings share this earth with us and are far more aware of us than we of them. While there seems to be a large chasm between us, that is, they do seem to exist within their own separate universe, as it were. They can nevertheless come through this thin membrane that separates our two worlds and interact with us. These aware beings without physical clothing often get a bad rap. The reason for that is their substance can sometimes make them rather dangerous company. They need to consume just like we do, but while we consume our energy through other biological life forms for the most part, they consume their energy directly. That is, they consume their energy in raw form. While they can survive quite easily on the energetic food supplied by the earth itself, they do covet the extra power that they can consume from living organic entities. Specifically, they crave emotional energy. All higher life forms generate emotional energy, and this emotional energy is highly coveted by them because, unlike us, they cannot create this emotional energy themselves. While they seem almost inert energetically, we organic beings shine like a bright light compared to them. Human beings are, of course, a great source of this energy. Fear and terror are what attract these creatures the most, but any large emotional output is sufficient to attract their attention. While most of these creatures go about their business without much desire to interact with humanity at all, there are some that specialize in feeding off of the emotional energy that they can get from human beings. They can't, to my knowledge, hurt a human being directly, but they can nevertheless scare one to death through the manipulation of his or her awareness. I believe that many of the reports of paranormal phenomenon are actually these inorganic beings, interacting either accidentally or purposefully with human beings. As I said, I do not mean to deny the existence of ghosts, for example, but I do believe that some of these ghost reports are actually inorganic beings that witnesses confuse with departed spirits. The interesting thing about these high-level inorganic beings is that given the presence of intense emotional energy, they can take on the form of just about anything that suits their needs. While some Bigfoot reports, for example, might be quite legitimate, some of these reports could actually be inorganic beings taking on this form in order to create a huge terror response from the human that is witnessing the phenomena. They seem to have the ability to look within the minds of people and create the form of something that the person expects to see. If we expect to see a horned demon when we enter a certain place or make our way through a dark forest, then this is what we will see when we run into such inorganic beings. If we expect to see a big hairy creature, a wood sprite, or a gray alien, this is what we will see, and they will manipulate our awareness to get as much emotional energy from this encounter as possible. As I said, this does not mean that all sightings of Bigfoot are inorganic beings. What it means is that there is another wrinkle that we must consider whenever we are hunting for the unknown. These inorganic creatures have been around seemingly long before we got to this earth, and will most likely be around far longer than we will. Some occult practitioners have learnt to work with these creatures, and there have been, and there still are, certain groups that worship these creatures as well. Their existence is not secret, but modern man with his rational contemplations finds the existence of these beings to be utterly impossible. As such, you will be hard-pressed to find knowledge of them anywhere except perhaps as reference, where they are mislabeled as gods, demigods, cryptids of all kinds, ghosts, poltergeists, etc. The best way to identify such a creature, as opposed to perhaps a paranormal encounter of a different kind, is to see how much this encounter seems to rely on the emotional response from you. If, for example, you encounter a cryptid that seems to be more interested in terrorizing you or torturing you in some way as opposed to just getting the heck out of the way, you are most likely dealing with an inorganic being. If you manage it, see what happens when you completely turn off all emotional response. An inorganic being would essentially fade away, turn into vapor-like substance, or perhaps even an orb. It is a big wrinkle, I know, with many overlaps into other phenomenon that could be quite legitimate paranormal phenomenon of another kind. Researching the paranormal is not an easy thing, but anyone trying to understand this field should be aware of these creatures, or else it will be impossible for this person to make any headway without finding incredible contradictions in their recorded data. So first, let's get this cleared. This was not my paper. This was a paper written by John Creeder. These are his beliefs. I stumbled across it and read it. It made a lot of sense. I'll give you a for instance. When we see these, or some people see these demonic rake creatures in a sewer drain. You know, they hear this odd, strange noise. They go into the sewer drain. They don't see anything for a while. And boom, there's this creature with long nails, jagged teeth, black pits for eyes. It turns out that this person listens to creepypasta quite often. That's what he sees. There's an interesting case or video where the kids or people are down in the catacombs. I think it was in Russia, and they're creeped out, and all of a sudden this this thing runs across into a very small tunnel. So small that a normal human couldn't get through it. But at the point when it was running across, it was the size of a normal person. So another, for instance, is, I believe, at a park in California. There were two entities seen. Once again, they were not aware. They kind of were walking through a field, and then boom, these two white, quote unquote, God, I hate this term, rake looking creatures were spotted. They never harmed the person. It's very interesting because when these rake-like creatures or these other not so resembling Bigfoot or the Dogman creatures, they seem not to have a physical effect. It's just a very terrifying mental effect. Sometimes people see them in their homes. I remember reading a story where this person was obsessed with a skinwalker broke into his home in, like, I don't even know, like Idaho or something. This area had nothing to do with Native American lore. I don't even think there was a Native American tribe for a couple 100 miles away. But it resembled what people in the creepypasta community and fan fiction community now call the rake. And they automatically say it looks like this. Like when people automatically put deer antlers on a Wendigo. That's not the case. These people that think that need to do a little bit more research and read some Iroquois lore, because unfortunately the internet and modern society has fucked up what they truly are represented as in old hieroglyph pictures. But anyway, back to the thing. So these inorganic beings, I think, are what people are misidentifying as these crawler, rake type creatures. Another interesting kind of theory or thought. Now, mind you, I don't believe my theory. These are just thoughts that I have that I've came up with, and I'm like, wow, this could be. Now, a while back, there was a cryptozoologist who let me share his encounter. He was Dogman hunting. He legit was going out looking for the Dogman in these woods. Pitch black. He was already nervous. When he gets to this bridge thing, all of a sudden, he feels like the Dogman is chasing him from behind. He sees what his brain tells him. But then, at the end of it all, there are these orbs that come out. Just a thought, you know. I'm not saying all Dogman, all Bigfoot. No, because I am 100% believe that the Dogman and Bigfoot exist. When I had my encounter, I wasn't thinking, oh, that's some 9-foot fucking wolf walking around on 2 feet. No, that's not what I was thinking. I was not thinking at all. You know, and all of a sudden, boom, there's this small pack of cryptid in front of me. So that's not what these are just thoughts. I have a couple of encounters that I want to share with you that I think are inorganic beings. Today's first encounter. Between 3-ish and 5:30 in the morning, Every night, between those times, I've been awoken by a big crash on my back deck. Then, if I don't react or move much, I'll hear a large 170 to 240 blah blah. Today's first encounter. I'll be honest, I almost never believe anyone's story about seeing something mystical or a monster. And I wouldn't believe this story if someone told it to me. However, the only reason I think I actually did see something was because my friend saw the same thing and verified my eyes weren't just playing tricks on me. We were driving home from a friend's. She was the driver, I was the passenger around 1:30 in the morning, going around 35 miles an hour. I see a figure standing completely still on the side of the road, just looking across the road, not moving. What it looked like, it was thin and relatively tall, maybe 6.5 feet tall, pale skin, hunched slightly over, dark black pits for eyes, no mouth, or if there was one, it was small and not noticeable. Stringy long hair like Gollum, wearing clothes like a tattered coat or a hoodie thing. And here's the really strange feature. Its legs were jointed backwards like a cricket, but it was standing straight up. Imagine your legs, slightly bent, but bent and reversed. Today's second encounter. My brother decided to make a late-night run to the grocery store, but on his way back his tire exploded. So he called my dad to come pick him up from the gas station he managed to pull into. There are some sketchy folk around that area, so my dad suggested we just change the tire and escort him home to make sure the donut didn't go flat again, because it's a fairly old spare. My dad calls me and asks me to bring my tools and jack so we can change the tire. After the donut is on, my dad goes in front and my brother follows, and I follow behind my brother. We live on a back road off of a back road, not many houses, lots of farmland. Not much traffic, but lots of deer at night. So, my dad and I turned on our LEDs that we use when we go off-roading. When we get to our road, so we can see the deer well before they become a hazard. The fields stretch about 1/4 mile from the road on the other side, and the lights are bright enough so that I can just barely see the tree line past the field. We get up to the bend in the road where the small patch of wood separates the field from the house beside it, and I see glowing eyes on my left about 15 feet away from the patch of woods on the field side. There were lots of deer out, so I was on high alert. I slowed down and kept my eyes on it. The thing had arms. It had a humanoid shape, a humanoid head. It was not far from the road, so it was pretty lit up. I've no doubts in my mind about what I saw. I was going about 15 miles an hour. It wasn't just a quick glimpse. I looked at it for at least 30 seconds before it was out of view. Once I realized that I had never seen anything like what I was seeing, I started honking my horn and pointing so my brother and dad in front of me would look. But by then, they had already passed that patch of woods and couldn't see it. I would guess it was around 6 to 7 feet tall when standing, but it appeared to be either hunched over or kneeling on the ground. It was resting one elbow on something, and the other arm was straight. I'm not sure if anyone's familiar with Nosferatu, but its head and face looked very similar to Nosferatu's. It looked gaunt and pale, had pointed ears and glowing eyes. I'm not sure the glow was because of the lumens I was shining at it, but that at least tells me it's nocturnal. I live in North Carolina, if that helps anyone in figuring out what the fuck this was. I'm very concerned, because it wasn't far from my home, and I've been hearing very strange noises at night. The past few weeks, I took my puppy out to use the bathroom yesterday around 10 p.m. and I could hear something in the forest walking very slow. I know it wasn't a deer because the puppy was barking and it didn't run off. I didn't have a flashlight, so I just kept my gun out in case it was a predator and tried to eat my puppy. It was snapping some big sticks and sounded heavy. I'm convinced it wasn't a bear because we don't live in bear country. We've never seen bear around here, and we go into the woods a lot. We also have a chain link fence all the way around our property line, including in the woods. We inspect it often, and I walked the perimeter today, and none of it was damaged. Whatever this is, it's agile and smart enough to jump over the fence without noticeably damaging it. A few months ago, I noticed scratches on the tree around my house. They were all no less than 7 feet off the ground, so in my mind, that took mountain lions out of the equation. If anyone finds this description familiar, please let us know. Saw the pale creature hunched over in a field, pale skin, humanoid shape, gaunt face, eyes reflected light, pointed ears, and either a very flat nose or no nose at all. I live in central North Carolina, about 40 minutes from the Virginia border. Today's third encounter. Around 3 to 5 in the morning, every night I've been hearing this noise and being woken up by a big crash on my back deck. If I don't react or move much, I hear a large 170 to 240 pound footsteps of either a man or a much scarier alternative, a creature of some sort. After this, I go out sporting a rifle, usually, and a flashlight. Previously, I've seen nothing really except once a shadow, a small shadow moving. But after tonight, I'm convinced it's something, or at the very least, someone. I just seen it a little while ago, about 10 minutes before I started typing this. It's tall, about 6.5, 7 feet, and looks like a black coat of something goes over it. It could be a tall dude with a coat considering it's winter, but he's still being very malicious, nonetheless. But I'm almost leaning towards a creature of some sorts because of all the weird things that have been happening lately. But aside from its reflective eyes, they did glow a bit before it turned its head and ran onto the nearby road with no traffic. This road also has a thick hedgerow lining it, except in a few spots. It seemed to be peeking through on those. It's also interesting to note that the fence and hedgerow are at least 5 feet tall, and the hedges extend about 6.5 feet over that. And I was close to about 50 feet away, and it still looked like a girthy creature in size, and still very tall. Either way, next time, rather than taking out a .22, I'm bringing out my 7.62 and a camera because, quite frankly, my insomnia sucks, and this is not helping it.
All right, folks, I hope you all enjoyed this night-ending bonus upload. It was a great day. I had a really wonderful day. Some really awesome experiences. And I don't know, I can't complain. Anyway, guys, with that, thank you for supporting this channel. Please stay safe, happy, healthy, and ever vigilant. Please keep an eye on your loved ones, your children, your pets, your family. These things are real and they are out there. God bless you all.